Jeni Steeber will read the next piece. Jeni would like to survive the next decade. She aspires to change the world. Laughter, her mother, and friends get her through her days. Jeni is reading Invisible Mother.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you today. You know, I have to admit to being kind of nervous, not because of stage fright per se, but because of the topic. You see, I have the distinct honor of being a mother to 8-year-old Julia and a birth mother to Annabelle, age 1.5 years. Oh good, you're still here. You know, it's always tough to talk to people about the fact that I placed Annabelle for adoption. I know the signs, the rolling eyes, the look one gets when they're uncomfortable in their own skin, the fact that the subject seems to miraculously change to something a little bit less controversial. Let's say, oh, politics. It's an unwritten rule that she is not a subject to be discussed. When it comes to Annabelle, I feel like an invisible mother. Some facts about myself. I'm 39 years old. I own my own home. I have a bachelor's degree in criminology with a minor in psychology. I work at home as a medical transcriptionist. My ex-husband and I are in the process of reconciling. Annabelle's story began 2 years ago in February of 2009. At the time, I felt like my world was falling apart. I was newly divorced, trying to make a new life with my then 6-year-old daughter. I had just moved into a new home. My grandfather had just passed away only weeks earlier. My home insurance rates were spiking. I received a pay cut through work. In the midst of all this, I found myself pregnant by a man who would terminate our relationship only days after I found out. Throughout the entire pregnancy, he refused to help me in any way, shape, or form, leaving me to wonder, just how was I going to get by? By the grace of God, however, Catholic Charities and my ex-husband were there to help me in whatever manner I needed. The watershed moment literally came in April when my kitchen sink was leaking and I anxiously called my mother in Oregon for advice as to what to do. A woman wise beyond her years, she had said, imagine adding a crying baby to all this. What would happen if it got sick in the middle of the night? Do you honestly think Joe would come over and help? Sadly, I knew the answer to that question. I realized I had to put my child's needs ahead of my own. It wasn't her fault that she was conceived. Why should she have to pay the price? I found myself envisioning holidays filled with custody battles with the father, finances stretched beyond their limit, the monthly struggle of just getting the tiniest amount of child support, etc. She didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve to be raised by a father who would expose her to drugs, alcohol, guns, and other forms of abuse. My decision to place my daughter for adoption was not done because I didn't love her, but because I did. She deserved a life with a mother and father who loved each other and who could provide for her, take her on vacations, enroll her in dance classes, and fill her life with love and laughter. In October, only days after Annabelle was born, she took the several-hour drive home with her proud parents. Waiting there was her 2-year-old brother who greeted her with a big hug and kiss. I've seen the picture. It's absolutely lovely. And there are many more where that came from. Annabelle's parents have taught me a very important lesson in life, that genetics do not define a family. You know, it's been suggested to me that since I don't have an active role in Annabelle's life, that as far as she's concerned, I'm not a real mother. And I beg to differ. I pray for my child every night. I miss her every single day. I want her to have the best that life has to offer and look out for her best interests, hence her adoption. I mean, aren't those the things that quote-unquote real mothers do? Thanks for letting me share my story with you today. Standing here, I feel a little less invisible.